does so shine.
Peace and blessings, family, and welcome to Labors of Love podcast. We are here to inspire, uplift, and enlighten. Each episode, we will be hearing from Black midwives, doulas, and other traditional childbirth supporters who have dedicated their lives to being of service to Black mothers and families in all aspects of the motherhood journey. This evening, I have the pleasure of speaking with Leilani Yizar-Reid. Leilani is a woman who is motivated to help others seek and walk a journey toward individual wholeness. She has been blessed to have been taught by so many loving individuals about living a well and holistic life when her path was not clear. She is now a certified pregnancy and infant loss advocate, a fertility doula with over 60 credit hours in pursuit of obtaining her master's in art therapy and counseling. She believes her purpose is to serve, take the lessons she's learned, and help others walk their authentic journey. She believes that everyone has the right to live a whole and healthy life. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Some experience.
Yeah. I am so grateful that we can get on together. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
I'm more than welcome to just talk.
Excellent. We're just gonna jump right in because there's so much that has to be covered within the short period of time that I have you. So how what was your understanding around pregnancy and labor and delivery prior to getting into any of the work that you're doing now? Like growing up, what was your messaging around, that aspect of life?
I didn't have not. I mean, your normal knowledge. Babies come from women.
Mhm.
Mothers give birth,
Right.
and that's all she wrote. I did not have like a. I didn't have people explaining things to me about the intricacies of birth, the sometimes the loss that can happen, or and also the dangers of birth, because birthing children is a dangerous thing. You could lose your life, the baby could lose their life, and then the heartaches and pains that come along with carrying a child. It's a lot. And this is just growing up. I did not understand that, but I learned over time. I think my journey of understanding birth, or fertility, and the want, because not everybody wants to have children,
Right.
but the desire of it. I it started when I wanted to start to have children, and then I wanted to have a greater understanding, but then it magnified when people really started to talk about Black maternal health, and I just started to dive in, go down the rabbit hole like everybody else, because I started to see that it is a problem, because it's not often talked about. Well, at least in my family, it wasn't often talked about.
Mhm.
Um, and once I started to realize that, I was like, oh, well, I want to get on this bandwagon, because not on a bandwagon in a negative thing, because some people like to join bandwagons, but
Mhm.
I wanted to get more information, because even for myself,
Right.
because if I'm going to be birthing, I want to be birthing with the right people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you said, you want to. I look at it as lending voice to something that needs to be shined upon. Like we
Hmm.
need to talk about what are these disparities and why are these things happening so that we can come up with solutions and feel coming more from an empowered space of, this is what's going on, this is why, these are some of the things that we can do differently. So how at what point did that shift for you? Was it once you became aware of your own desire to become a
I,
mother or prior to that?
it was when I decided, when my desires to become a mother, and also the obstacles I faced when I was trying to get pregnant.
Okay.
dealing with doctors and dealing with because at the time I wasn't aware of doulas.
Mhm.
I had some knowledge of like midwife, but I was like, oh, but that's like back in the day. I'm talking about like 30s, 20s, back in the day, like slavery or even prior to that. That's when
Mhm.
they used midwives. I wasn't thinking that this is a present day thing. Your support system is the hospital. Your
Mhm.
support system is your doctor. Um, so when I started to have my own issues or obstacles trying to get pregnant, trying to find the right doctor, because there was a lot of um, doctors that discriminated against me,
Mhm.
that really showed their face when it came down to racism and not giving me the right proper care that I needed for my individual self.
Right.
Right? You want to, you know, your body's different than the next person, and so don't treat me as such. So it was that when I really started to dig little bit deeper on what fertility is,
Mhm.
and what is it about the body, the woman's womb. What is it about it is to why we as women were chosen to be the portal.
Mm. Wow. So that's phenomenal, and I find that that story resonates. Um, it's through your own personal experiences that you find purpose, and I know you can get laser focused on finding solutions for yourself, which end up impacting and adding value to the lives of other people.
Most
So
definitely.
what did that journey look like for you, especially now being that you are a fertility doula and that you are certified and have specialties in certain areas? How did that come about?
So I started looking into it was out of desperation.
Mm.
I think it was after, I want to say, because I think it was like either my third or fourth miscarriage. I was desperate to find a way to get pregnant and sustain a
Mm.
pregnancy. So I was like, okay, I gotta let me look into this fertility doula, because it's I can't even get to the part of needing a doula if I haven't figured out one, how to get pregnant and
Mhm.
then sustain a pregnancy. So what is it within my body that I need to do um, to connect those missing pieces? So looked up the I looked up different fertility doula programs or uh, certifications, and I found it through the National Black Doulas Association, and they
Wow.
have a fertility doula certificate program, and I did that, and then I was just started seeing. I was like, okay, I tried this. I even got a fertility doula myself,
Okay.
the grace of God. That, I mean, I don't even know how that connection came about, but I was so grateful and thankful for it.
Yeah.
And then as time has gone by, still not pregnant, or I got pregnant but couldn't stay in my pregnancy, and I started to really want to support women and men um in death, in this grief, in this space of
Mm.
losing a pregnancy, whether it's losing the pregnancy through miscarriage or having a stillbirth or infant loss. I wanted to support them because I knew at that time I didn't have the right support for me.
Mm.
I wasn't finding that, there are a lot of support groups out there. I'm a great number. Sisters in loss, there's a lot of them out there. Um, but nothing that I felt for myself,
Okay.
because I'm not a person that to sit there and, I guess I am a person to sit there and talk, but I'm
Mhm.
not. I'm just different, and I think every space, whatever space that you create for people, it could fit for one person, and it could fit for another, and it doesn't fit for the other.
Yeah.
And the more spaces we have, the more opportunities people can use to reach out. It's like not
Abs-
every doula is meant for everybody.
Right.
more the merrier.
Absolutely. And great point. I mean, that was excellently said because like you said, you vet people. It's about energy. It's about, what fits for you in that time and space. It's about that whole bedside man, what works for you. So definitely it's not a, to sound cliche, but it's not a cookie cutter approach. And what it sounds like you're speaking of is healing, right? Like,
Yeah.
to do this healing work, you create a space that looks and feels like you need it to. So what was that you felt you needed to create, and what is it that you offer as far as your support?
I felt that I needed to create a space for people just to come and go whenever they felt like it. I
Mhm.
felt I needed to create a space where people just talk. I think a lot of I also include people who've had abortions, and sometimes that's taboo, depending on your beliefs. But I hold space for every person who is going through this. I hold space for them. You can come and talk to me. My services are free. I don't charge for my support group. I don't charge, if you are looking to if you just need somebody to call in the middle of the night, or you need somebody to talk to, or just sit with you. Because
Mhm.
one thing I also said that I will provide is a space where, if it's interesting, because if you are in this space of, you just had a miscarriage, or you just infant loss, or stillbirth, or abortion, whatever, you are not in a space to even think, right? Cook for yourself,
Mhm.
do cleaning, household chores. I offer that I will come in and cook you a light meal. I will sit with you. I will clean up whatever because I know what that space feels like.
So
And
wow.
that's free of charge, because you're not in a space to say, how much do I owe this person just to be my support? To me, I wouldn't even want somebody. I wouldn't want to pay somebody, because
Mhm.
you're not in the headspace for any of that.
Wow.
So that type of grief support, you don't charge somebody for what they're going through.
Mhm.
And that's what I felt. I'm no knocking anybody who does it. It's just something that I felt within my heart, because I knew that for myself, that's what I need. I needed. I needed somebody to come in and cook for me and my husband when we couldn't even like think,
Yeah.
or straighten up, or sit, or just be silent.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because just having this conversation, it's not talked about enough, and not so much in this way. So we talk about like baby showers and blessing ways and
Hmm.
supporting families after the baby, but we don't, first of all, we don't share because I've experienced a miscarriage, like two
Hmm.
miscarriages, but it's not
Hmm.
something that comes up in conversation. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like it doesn't, unless, and how often are we in settings like this? But this isn't something that we're talking about as much as we're talking about, oh, this pregnancy or that baby or this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. And when you speak of the support, it might, I can't even say it's needed even more so, but you're grieving as well as you physically gone through something like a birth, and to not have that support. Like you said, we cook for the mothers, we clean for the mothers. So it should be something that's commonplace, that support and that
Yeah.
love and that opportunity to grieve and to heal and to go through your process is understood. And I'm sure from an indigenous standpoint, we must have had practices in place to honor this.
But we don't tap into it. We're I think, and again, I don't want to knock on people's, on everybody's hustle, but we talk so much about the birth process. We don't talk too much about the grief. And the
Yeah.
grief is so vital. Like you said, a woman, depending on the stage of that they lost that pregnancy, they have to give birth to something. They have to give birth, and the amount of the surgeries, the the amount of surgeries, or the process of
DNC.
allowing that baby to pass,
Hmm. Hmm.
you that takes a toll on a body.
Yeah.
That takes so much. It takes a toll on a body, and like God forbid if a family just went through an IVF process, that's even worse. That IVF takes a toll on a person's body, not even just physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yeah.
And there's so many components, and we need to hold more space for people in this. And it's not to say that we don't need to hold space for people who are pregnant and giving birth, but this grief, this death, this loss, it's so needed
Yeah. No.
without judgment and coaching people. You don't say this, don't say that.
While you're supporting someone who's grieving.
And so on my website, I have tools of what to say, what not to say,
Okay.
because sometimes, and understand a person's grief language.
Yes.
We want to learn everybody's love language, understand their grief language.
Yeah. Wow. And as far as resources, is that something else that they can find on your site
Yep,
around
Riverize.
grief languages and things like that? Because that's powerful. Just dealing, people in their different seasons and seasons of love and their
Yep.
seasons of grief. So there has to be etiquette and language around that. So how does that support look when you've experienced loss and you are in the process or you have successfully conceived
Hmm.
and you are in the process of your pregnancy gestation? What kind of support is there? Because I can only imagine coming off of a loss or multiple losses.
Hmm.
How do you support through the process of pregnancy? Because this one seems to be, sustaining.
It's interesting because when I went through like a whole almost a year of transformation, mind, body, and soul. Me
Mm.
and my husband, a lot of transformation happened, and then I got pregnant. And then when
Mm.
I got pregnant, I was so excited, but then all the emotions of you're not worthy, you're not going to hold the baby, came swooping in. I mean, it swooped in so quickly. I said, I worked so hard on myself, I forgot about that piece.
Mm.
I forgot about that piece. And what I'm learning now, because each pregnancy has taught me something about myself. So I mourn my babies, I grieve, but I thank them every day because I learned so much about me
Mm.
and my purpose,
Yeah.
pregnancy. So I learned that I truly need to learn what letting go is.
Ooh.
And in order for me to let go, I need to have support, like certain people in my corner helping me, supporting me to learn how to let go, how to
Mm.
properly let go. So that if that means that I am surrounding myself, because I do these
Yeah.
moon cycle on a full moon and on a new moon, I do these African moon cycle dance class.
Nice.
That's another process of me letting go. Whatever's happening, I'm letting it go with through that. If I join into a lot of I started going to a dream school. That
Mm.
is also helping me in processing a lot of information in order for me to learn how to let go.
Right.
So I put myself in places where, for me, what I needed to learn, I'm there's so much resources out there, and I'm putting myself in those places strategically.
No, that's amazing. Just how that whole, just finding purpose in all that occurs in life. So that kind of segues into what are the services that you provide?
So, as I said, I do have my support group. It is once a month, every second Thursday of the month. It's from 6:30 to 8, and we meet via Zoom. We were meeting in person, but Zoom is allows more people to come. And if you come one week and you never come again, I'm okay with that. It's just I even if nobody comes, the space will be open to whomever needs it at the time. And if you feel like you need to call me on at another time, you can do so too. Um, was it this year I hosted my first uh, bereavement Mother's Day brunch, and I invited people who have joined into my people who were local, who joined into my support group, and I just treated them to brunch and gave them gifts and showered them with love, showered myself with love. Um, I do that. Obviously, I said one on one. There are resources on my website where you can find um, other support groups, other if you were pregnant, you gave birth, or you had a stillbirth, or you had infant loss, and you had milk that you still have milk within your breast. There's a milk reserve, milk bank,
Wow.
so that you can support other women who cannot milk, or who are having a hard time breastfeeding, or babies who are in foster care who need milk. So there's milk banks. So all those supports and resources are on my website. And then I also created a toolkit for organizations and agencies to add pregnancy loss to their workplace policy,
Very nice.
because that's important. That's another side of support that we just don't have. You have infant loss
Maternity
because
leave.
yeah, we have maternity leave, and we also an infant. If you lose an infant, that infant is included into your bereavement time, because that child is already born. But what happens? You don't when you are having miscarriages,
Yes.
or you're having fertility challenges like
Mhm.
IVF, failed IVFs. Language is important in your workplace policy. So
Mhm.
it's adding those things. So I created that. And if you want to use that, if you want to advocate for yourself at your job, all that information, how to do it, what to say to your organizations, is all there on the website.
Oh, wow. No, that's excellent. And like you said, to be able to have the language to advocate for yourself, that's empowering in and of itself, to know that, I can speak up for what it is that I need in this very, very vulnerable space that I'm in this moment.
And
So
if they don't, I'm sorry, and
no, no, no.
if they don't know how to advocate for themselves, call me and I will
I,
gladly advocate beside you, for you, with you, all of it.
wow. Yeah. Wow. So this is definitely powerful work. I like to, impart on the audience just a story from you that kind of exemplifies why it is that you do this work, whether it's a family that you've supported, whether it's just something else that really epitomized um, w- what your passion is, and the work that you've done and the impact that it's had. Do you have any stories that you'd like to share with the audience?
I do this work for my babies, and I do this work for myself, and for the families who have felt like they didn't have a voice, or they couldn't share their story because of shame that may be placed on them. They're not a mother. They're not worthy of being a mother, or they feel that way, because you can feel that way if you, especially when you go through multiple miscarriages, or even just one, you can feel not worthy. And I do this for them. And I mostly I'm doing this for myself because I deserve it. I deserve it. My babies have taught me so much
Mhm.
that if I didn't birth this, their births would be, their lives, their souls would be in vain.
Mhm.
So I do this for them and myself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oh, child.
Wow.
And then
Ooh,
I get
definitely.
always emotional when I talk about my babies
Oh, oh, yes, yes, yes.
because I am a mother.
Indeed, indeed. And I just, I truly appreciate, you just bringing this to the audience and in a way that we can truly connect. And,
Thank
and I feel everything, it's coming through, like the emotions, the passion, just this work that you're doing and the desire to support and to love on people. Like
you.
it just seems like your calling is to make a difference and to have an impact and to just be of service and add value to families. So I'm greatly appreciative of that in this conversation because again, I don't hear it happen often enough, especially from this lens.
Mhm.
So to be able to have the language, the understanding of grief, you know, the some of the challenges and obstacles of fertility, but then when everything is working out, is what quote unquote working out, how
Right.
do you move in that space after you've experienced loss? So
I would
thank you.
definitely tell people to, if figuring out how to move through space of pregnancy after miscarriage or after loss, find a really good support system. If that's one person, if that's a team,
Mhm, mhm,
get that for yourself.
yeah,
Gift that for you and that child.
mm,
And you make the rules. You make up what you want. Just as much as like having a doula in the delivery room, you
mhm,
make up the rules. You are in charge. So find those supports for yourself because it is so necessary. And remove any and every obstacle
mhm.
of any negativity that might come your way, especially if that's family members and friends. If it ain't about you and what you got going on, you're not important right now.
Yes, yes, I love it. You used to have a birth plan, have your pregnancy plan, be real
Yes.
clear about your vibration and
Ooh,
remove whatever is not in alignment with that.
all of it.
Yeah. Wow. So before you go, how do people get in touch with you? What's your website? What's the best way to contact you? Your social media, all of those things.
So my website is River Rise, and River is named after my business is named after my baby. My number four was River. Her name was River Jasmine, and so my business is named after River Rise. Is riverrise.org. That's my website, riverrise.org. And my email is riverrise18@gmail.com. Riverrise18 on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. Those are the best ways to contact me, and we can go from there.
Oh,
But
excellent.
all of it is on riverrise.org.
Excellent, excellent. So we will definitely make sure that it's in the description so they can just click on it and get to you and not have to try to spell it correctly or anything like that. So that's excellent. And please, if you found value in this conversation, definitely share, share, share. I've definitely walked away with just some valuable information that, you know, prior to this conversation, I might not have focused my awareness on that. So I'm truly appreciative that you took a moment, out of your time to speak with us, to share, to just be open and vulnerable. Like it was an amazing conversation, and I am grateful that we could connect.
Well, I'm so grateful for you too, and you holding space that people can share this information. So grateful for you, sister.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, peace and blessings, family. Thank you for joining us.